What's up, everybody? Zach Brunner from Flurry Sports here, and let's talk about some players you could steal off the waiver wire for fantasy football week 7. Yes, so we are going to go over some of the top fantasy football waiver wire pickups for week 7, along with ownership from ESPN Fantasy. I know I don't usually play over there either, but that's the most popular. So on Sleeper, just a rule of thumb, Sleeper's probably going to be a bit higher for the ownerships for these guys that we're going to talk about. And for context, this is immediately after Sunday Night Football. We just saw the fight with Brian Branch and Juju and all of that. So that's the information I have. I don't have anything more than what I have at the current moment for health reasons and stuff like that. And let's talk about bye weeks. So we're going into week 7. We have two teams on bye. We have the Bills and we have the Ravens. Now, that's important. However, I think you need to be looking a week in advance as well, because week 8, along with the injuries that we continue to pile up, bye weeks is going to be it's going to be a bitch, to be completely honest. We have, let's see here, 6 teams on bye. That's the Rams, the Cardinals, the Seahawks, the Jags, the Lions, and the Raiders. So a ton of fantasy relevant players there, a lot of receivers, some really good running backs. I mean, every single position. So we need to be thinking a week ahead of time. A lot of your league mates will not be thinking like that. So you may be able to steal some people. Just make sure you have a plan for week 8, because you don't want to be, caught without a plan and completely lost, right? So think ahead of time. So let's just go over 8 of the best fantasy football waiver wire pickups for week 7. And I'll have some honorable mentions in there as well. But we'll have 2 from each of the main positions for fantasy football, starting with quarterbacks. We will start with rookie Jaxson Dart, owned in 35% of fantasy football leagues right now. And we can expect that number to go up quite a bit after what we saw on Thursday Night Football. Man, where do I start with Jaxson Dart? I mean, this dude's a baller. He comes in right away and just an electric factory, instant adrenaline to the veins for this New York Giants offense. And from a fantasy point of view, I mean, he loses Malik Neighbors. That stinks. He is still passing at an efficient rate. He just played the Eagles, not an easy defense to play against whatsoever. Completed 68% of his passes. But, I mean, what makes Dart safe for fantasy and great for fantasy is his rushing upside. Now, he invites a lot of contact. He takes a lot of contact. So that is my only knock against him at this current moment. I mean, he went to the medical tent. We obviously saw that fiasco. But hopefully he can hold up. But 50-plus rushing yards each of his first 3 games, a touchdown on the ground in 2 of those 3 games. That's great. He's thrown a touchdown in all 3. He's only turned the ball over twice. That was just that one game. It was the Saints. But he is fantastic. Now, the next 2 games do not look easy. One of those games is against the Eagles in week 8, but we just saw what he did against them. I'm not overly afraid. I think it's going to be a tougher game, but, like I said, if he gets 50 yards and a touchdown on the ground, that's 11 points right there. And next week, though, he does play the Broncos. The Broncos probably are the best defense in the NFL. However, is there a better time to play the Broncos? I don't think so. The Broncos are good. The Broncos just showed out. They just held the Jets to the worst passing game, essentially, of all time. However, the NFL is putting the Broncos through an absolute gauntlet right now. 4 road games in the last 5 weeks, one of which was across the pond in London. So at Indy, at LA, home against Cincinnati. Then it was a short week at Philadelphia. And then they went to London, and now they're flying back to Colorado. So these Broncos players are going to be fatigued. As great as they are, as good as they're playing on defense, at some point, I mean, the clock catches up to you and it's going to be tough. So maybe Jaxson Dart can catch these guys a little bit jet-lagged and find them asleep at the wheel and put together a pretty nice fantasy day. Next up, and again, recording this right after Sunday Night Football, he hasn't played yet. So we are going to go with Michael Penix Jr. So we will see what happens against the Bills. Even if he doesn't play overly well, I do like his upcoming matchups. We'll talk about that. But Michael Penix owning 15% of ESPN fantasy leagues right now. So I suppose let's call it a tale of 2 halves for Michael Penix Jr. Week 1 turned in a great fantasy performance, 298 through the air with a touchdown, 21 and a touchdown on the ground, over 20 fantasy points. played damn good. Next two games were both on the road, and he did not show up. Retrospect, hindsight 2020, these two defenses have been pretty good against the pass, whether it be because of the pass rush or whatever it may be. Certainly not the case for Carolina. They've just been pretty good. But the Vikings and the Panthers, both on the road, he was absolutely terrible in both of those games. No touchdowns to be had, a total of 8 rushing yards between the two games. Didn't eclipse 200 yards in either game, 2 turnovers, so not good there. But then last time we saw him against Washington, almost 77% of his passes were completed, over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception through the air. I mean, when he's good, he's good. When he's bad, he's bad. But I think Michael Penix Jr. is extremely talented. I think his receivers are good as well. Again, he plays Buffalo tonight when you are watching this, probably Monday Night Football. We'll see what that is. Week 7, he has the 49ers, who just lost both of their defensive captains, Nick Bosa a couple weeks ago, Fred Warner now. When is enough for this 49ers team? Injury after injury, and I think that he can pick on this defense a little bit. He also should get Darnell Mooney back for this game. Mooney is a very, very underrated and solid player. So I think he can pick on the San Francisco 49ers there. And then he's got the Miami Dolphins in week 8. So I think his schedule lines up good. And even after that, I mean, again, starting in week 7, at the 49ers, home against the Dolphins, at the Patriots, at the Colts, home against the Panthers, at the Saints, at the Jets. This is a pretty sweet schedule if you are really struggling at quarterback, if you need a second quarterback in a 2-quarterback league. Penix is a guy who has dropped a bunch because of those 2 absolutely terrible weeks. And he just, obviously he's coming off of a bye week. So depending on what he does on Monday Night Football, maybe he's somebody that a lot of people target, maybe not. But I do think he's somebody that you can consider as a player going forward. 2 honorable mentions at the quarterback position are Trevor Lawrence and Aaron Rodgers. Let's shift our focus over to running backs, and we will go with Kimani Vidal, owned in 27% of ESPN fantasy leagues, and he was the winner of that Omarion Hampton injury. A lot of people thought maybe Hassan Haskins, but no, it was Vidal who dominated the backfield on Sunday. If you were lucky enough to pick up Vidal last week, you called your shot and you won the lottery. He was fantastic this past week, obviously. 18 carries, 124 yards, 3 receptions, 14 yards, scored a touchdown through the air as well. He's always been a pretty solid player, and now he has the opportunity to show that. Week 7, he has the Colts. Week 8, he has the Vikings. You can run against the Colts. Vikings is a little bit tough, but I think he'll be okay there. Regardless, if he has the workload, I mean, that's all we are really asking for here, right? Chargers played 64 snaps total on offense this past week, and 43 of those went to him. Only 20 went to Haskins. So he doubled Haskins, and Haskins was not efficient whatsoever. Watch the Chargers because they could still add somebody, but given this performance, it would be highly unlikely that they add somebody to usurp Vidal, unless it's a trade for a Breece Hall or something like that. But even still, go pick up Vidal. He is the guy that you want to be playing in week 7 for the Chargers. Second running back we'll recommend is Tyjae Spears, Tennessee Titans running back, owned in 24% of ESPN fantasy leagues, and he actually outperformed Tony Pollard this week. Tyjae Spears is a player I really liked coming out of college. He's a great receiving back. He's electric with the football. He just needs to stay healthy. He needs to stay on the field. And he's just coming back from injury, right? Week 5 was his debut. This past week, he definitely rose in workload quite a bit, honestly. Titans played 61 snaps total. He played 36 snaps, so he played over half of them, and he played more than Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard only played 26 snaps, so outsnapped him by 10. Spears can run the ball. Like I said, electric with the ball, but he's also a very, very good receiver. He's a good route runner. As long as he can stay healthy, he can add a dimension to this offense that they were missing. And the Titans are obviously in desperate need of something on offense. They need a spark, and Spears can absolutely provide that for them. This past week, he didn't blow anybody away, right? He took 5 carries for 31 yards, very efficient there, 6.2 yards per carry, obviously. And then 4 receptions for 19 yards. He can break a play at any point. So I expect his carries to go up a little bit, but if he can float around that 4-5 reception per game mark, we'll see him break one of those, and that's going to be a very, very good, useful flex option for you. He can be a bye-week fill-in at RB2. I'm not saying he's a league winner by any stretch of the imagination, but Tajay Spears is a very solid football player. His role should continue to grow, and he would be a very good pickup for you in week 7. A couple honorable mentions at the running back position for this week. Kendre Miller backing up Alvin Kamara, growing role there in New Orleans. And then Bam Knight, he got the start in Arizona, but to be completely honest, I am not really overly interested in playing that musical chairs, that hot hand approach in Arizona. Let's go to wide receivers, and a lot of these wide receivers, really, their value is dependent on the people ahead of them, their injury status for this week. But I can't imagine you will have much clarity before waivers run. We'll start with one that doesn't really depend on injuries, though, with Kayshon Boutte. He's owned in 7% of ESPN fantasy leagues, and he has dominated the Patriots snap count for the entire season. But he just finally turned in another good performance, and it could be a sign of things to come. This was a bit of a breakup performance for the Patriots wide receiver, who's been pretty quiet since week 1. Obviously, week 1, he had 103 yards, 6 receptions. This past week, 5 receptions, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns. Being quiet has not been for a lack of snaps and opportunity, that's for sure. He is on the field. He is the most reliable Patriots wide receiver in terms of snaps. He's played at least 2/3 of the snaps in all but one game. That was that Bills game. He can be a good deep threat for Drake May, who continues to grow in confidence. And as he does grow in confidence, obviously he'll take more of those deep shots. At least 3 targets in all but one game as well. And in that one game is 1 catch, 16 yards, and a touchdown. So he at least saved his day. This is a guy who you can pick up, and maybe he can grow along with Drake May for the rest of the season. Looking ahead for the next few matchups, he's got a good matchup at Tennessee next week. He has Cleveland the week after that. They like to be a little bit of a target funnel there. Atlanta, Tampa Bay, the Jets, the Bengals, the Giants. The schedule does not get tougher. It definitely gets easier for Kayshon Boutte and the Patriots, and I could see them being kind of pass happy for the rest of the year. The second wide receiver, and again, you need to watch the injury status on this team, but we will go with Arizona Cardinals wide receiver Michael Wilson, owned in 4% of ESPN fantasy leagues. Watch the status of Marvin Harrison Jr. He left this game after smacking his head on the turf. Definite concussion. Some would ask, can you really tell if Marvin Harrison Jr. has a concussion? I don't have the answer to that. I cannot tell. However, it does seem like he has a decent chance to miss this week. And if he is out, I think you want to own Michael Wilson. With Harrison Jr. getting knocked out of the game and with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, he had 4 catches for 44 yards, both of which were season highs. Obviously, that isn't insane, but with the full game without Marvin Harrison Jr., that could be much higher than that. He plays the Packers this week. I'm not overly afraid of the Packers. This is somebody who is a Packer fan and has watched every single down. As long as the Cardinals can control the line of scrimmage, which it seems like they're capable of doing, the Packers cornerbacks are not that good. Michael Wilson's a guy I really liked coming out of college. He's extremely talented. My only true knock on him was health, and he's managed to stay pretty healthy. Now my only knock on him is that he plays with Kyler Murray. But with the Packers in week 7, there's a week 8 bye for the Cardinals like we talked about. Since they do have that bye in week 8, it does seem like they could be pretty conservative with injuries. We could see Kyler Murray get held out. We could see Marvin Harrison Jr. get held out. And if that's the case, both of those things is a positive for Michael Wilson. And that's why he could be a decent bye week fill-in here for you, or a streamer for week 7. I got 3 honorable mentions here for the same reasons as Michael Wilson. I do have Zay Jones for the Cardinals. I have Jordan Whittington for the Rams if Puka Nacua is indeed out. And if the 49ers continue to have Ricky Pearsall out, I do like Kendrick Bourne. Obviously, he has a true connection with Mac Jones. I think he'll be relevant regardless, but in terms of having this type of role we've seen the past 2 weeks, he will need Ricky Pearsall out. Let's shift our focus to tight end for these final 2, and we will go with Las Vegas Raiders tight end Michael Mayer. Early indications are that Brock Bowers will miss another week. Obviously, watch that, but he didn't practice at all last week with that knee injury, and the Raiders have nothing to play for, right? There is very little reason to rush Brock Bowers back. They already rushed him back. They didn't force him to play. He kind of put himself out there and tried to play through that injury. Did not work. Now they're going to take a conservative approach, and it seems like he will miss another game. Michael Mayer is the benefit of that since he came back from injury. He is owned in 3% of ESPN fantasy leagues. People forget how talented Michael Mayers is because Brock Bowers is there, but the Raiders love this dude. In this past week without Bowers, coming back from injury for Mayer, he ended up playing 56 of the 61 total snaps for the Raiders, so clearly he is going to be an every down type of player for them. With this workload, they featured him 5 catches, 50 yards, and a touchdown, 7 targets. Love all of that. Next week, he plays at Kansas City. Matchup overall isn't outstanding, but I do assume the Raiders will have to pass the ball to keep up, especially in Rashee Rice's return game. So if they're going to have to pass, Michael Mayer will be one of those featured players. You could do a lot worse than him at tight end. The second tight end, I had to double take here at the ownership. I thought I was going to talk about maybe a rookie or something like that, and I am, but not the rookie I thought, and that's Harold Fannin Jr., Cleveland Browns tight end, someone we've been talking about the entire season, someone that everyone's been talking about the entire season. On ESPN Fantasy, he's owned in 29% of leagues. So go and look and see if he's out there. Fannin has been great in his rookie season, getting used all over the lineup. In week 6, he played 81% of the snaps, which is the most so far. He played 22 at tight end, 31 in the slot, 7 out wide. He even took a snap in the backfield. David Njoku got a little bit banged up, which led to this, but he's also just seeing his role grow a little bit more as the Browns get more comfortable with him and as his confidence grows in the NFL. He saw 10 targets, 7 catches, 81 yards. That is fantastic. That was against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Looking ahead, like I said, Njoku's a little bit banged up, so we could see another heavy workload for Fannin in week 7, and hopefully we do, because he plays the Miami Dolphins. That would be fantastic. And then week 8, he plays the Patriots before a week 9 bye. And then coming after the bye, he's got the Jets, the Ravens, the Raiders, a banged up 49ers team, the Titans, the Bears. So certainly a nice schedule going forward. If his role continues to grow, maybe Njoku gets traded. Browns are certainly trade happy right now. I love Harold Fannin for the rest of the year. Honorable mentions at the tight end position are rookies Aronde Gadsden and Mason Taylor. Both should see plenty of targets going forward. So those are the fantasy football waiver wire pickups for week 7. In the comments, let me know who you are prioritizing for this week. And if you have any other fantasy questions, definitely drop them in the comments below. Like I said multiple times during the video, this is before Monday Night Football. We got 2 Monday Night Football games. So if anything pops off, if anything goes crazy and you have a question about it, definitely drop it in the chat below, in the comments below, and I will jump in there. I'm sure others from Flurry Sports as well, and comment and talk to each other about fantasy football stuff as well. It's pretty cool. And if you want a group chat to talk about more fantasy football stuff, ask me questions. If you want access to league winning data, become a member. In the comments below, there's a link to my Buy Me a Coffee link. For 1 coffee per month, you get access to a group chat with me. You get my opportunity index, which is updated every single week. You're going to get a strength of schedule for the fantasy football playoffs. You get my fantasy football trade value chart, all kinds of good stuff. So definitely go and check that out. I would love the support. And you get to join a group of like-minded people with the membership. We are just striving to win fantasy football championships, and that is what I'm going to help you do. But until then, definitely subscribe. Really appreciate that. And let me know as well, a lot of homework for you guys. Let me know as well what other kind of fantasy content you would like to see, whether it be on flurrysports.org in articles, or if you want a video here, let us know and we will probably serve that for you. See you soon. Goodbye. Fuck yeah.